Welcome to Urbane Legends, the podcast about urban legends and how to act in a courteous and refined manner, but much less about that. Here's your hosts, Neil and Chris. Hello and welcome to this episode of Urbane Legends. With me, the man behind, or could say the brains behind, the 1978 novelty classic, Dada, I'm the Love Czar, Chris Flynn, and forever by my side, the first human man who went over Victoria Falls in a barrel, it's Mr.
Neil Herbert.
Hi Neil, how are you doing this week?
Yeah, doing very well. Just catching up with the Olympics.
Very nice. How was
nice.
How was it going over Victoria Falls in a barrel?
Well, I want to know when they're going to turn that into an Olympic sport. So it was terrifying, but exhilarating at the same time. Yeah.
Oh, you are known for your adrenaline rushes.
Oh yeah,
chasing the.
One jumping out of the plane. You got to chase the thrill.
Chase the thrill.
Some would say it was a suicide attempt, but
you did. You did.
Absolutely wasn't. It was those are lies. I may have been crying as I descended down, but
I thought they were tears of joy.
The rush of adrenaline. Yeah, exactly.
Because you knew the adrenaline you were about to get. Is your favourite film Point Break?
Oops, yeah.
Yeah, that's adrenaline film.
But the only thing that could have improved that is if somebody had gone down a barrel, down a waterfall.
Yeah, absolutely. A Patrick Swayze or something.
Surprising hobby that was quite popular actually about 100 or so years ago.
What? Point Break?
You get in barrels and go down. I'm sure I've read this somewhere. I'm sure it wasn't a satirical article. Or something I've just made up in my head.
I think it was just because local transport links were so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't be bothered going round.
I could walk there, which I'll be honest is going to take me 3 days and I'll probably die of dysentery, or I'll just take my chances in this barrel in the waterfall.
Well, of course, people are famous for doing that at Niagara Falls.
Barrel Express.
People are famous for doing that at Niagara Falls, but no one had ever attempted it over Victoria Falls, I think because of all of the rocks at the bottom. But you decided to anyway. Did you have a specially reinforced barrel at all, or? Yeah,
I got a really good Cooper, really bound it up well, and just to put some foam at the bottom. And some bat anti-rock.
Nice.
Venom, I don't know.
So, well, difficult to find a good Cooper these days. I found that when I'm trying to transport.
They don't truly love the craft anymore.
There's just not that many around. It's all vacuum pack, isn't it? I mean, I'm well known for transporting my salted fish over to the Scandinavians, and I prefer to do it in an oak smoke barrel, of course.
You should do.
Yeah, but I mean, can you get one? Can you get one like around here these days?
Not the quality anymore. Just not the quality.
Can you fuck? It's all balsa wood, and you don't get the smokiness, and sometimes because of all the oils in the fish, the barrel just splits. And you know that's me. That's all the fishing and smoking and salting that I've done. That's out the window because they're not going to pay for that. You don't want to hear my problems, but
we've had this conversation before.
It's hitting me quite hard in the pocket. So Neil, I believe you're going to be driving this mystery train this week. What have you selected from the annals of the internet?
Yeah, well, I've dipped into the lucky dip of urban myths, and you make up your own mind as to the quality of what I've pulled out.
Yeah.
This is the curse of Robert the Doll.
I'm already
start, is it?
Robert the Doll.
So put your mind at rest. The scene is in Florida. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So is he? So is he called the Doll because he's like a doll, like a really kind of cute girl called Robert?
No. This is, well, I'll tell you what. Well, I'm gonna give a shout out to an article on Burials and Beyond, and I'll give you the opening paragraphs, just set the scene a little bit for how we are.
That would be nice.
So the Florida Museum, preserved in a glass case, sits a boy named Robert.
Robert?
Intrigued yet?
I am.
The 4-foot figure reclines cheerfully in a little wooden chair, a tatty toy dog in hand.
Ah.
His sailor suit is pressed and clean, a faint smile dancing across his pockmarked face. He's remarkably well preserved for being over 114 years old.
Ooh.
Oh, and he's also known as the most haunted doll in America.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Yeah. Interest peaked?
Interest has peaked. But what that's also put me in mind of is that his little sailor outfits.
It's a mixture of the macabre and the... So first of all, I don't necessarily agree that it's a dog. This looks like a cuddly lion that he's holding. He has got a little sailor outfit. Like, because it's not a particularly expressive face, and because of the pockmarks, what looks like the mask of Hannibal Lecter was wearing in Silence of the Lambs. I don't even remember that one where he was propped up on the sort of...
the kind of bars in the mouth.
So like a hockey mask. Friday the 13th. Yeah, because the kind of stuffing's what all the cloth is worn through into the stuffing.
My mum, and I can't... She'll have to let me know whose idea it was, but she got me to go to Sea Cadets when I was very young, probably about seven or 8. So I used to have to wear a little sailor's outfit for that.
Oh my God! Because my whole thing on this was, he's a bright little posh boy with his little sailor outfit. I wasn't expecting that you were gonna.
Yeah, and we were living on a council estate in a rough area of South London. I'm the captain. Beep beep.
Did you learn to tie many knots?
No, I don't. To be honest, I can't really recall that I've learned anything from it apart from the fact I didn't want to be in the Navy. And also I learned how to make a noise from a bugle, which I can still do, and I've still got the bugle. So those are... There you go, that's something. It didn't teach me...
Rousing Dawn Chorus, you can supply one.
I can't remember much about it. I think I probably didn't go there for that long, to be honest. But what I did learn is I'm not someone that works well within a rigid structure of an organisation. But I also remember that there were people who had obviously been going there for years and were now turning 16 or whatever, and were going off to the Navy, and they were very well thought of. And there was all the saluting and the pipes and all that business.
The nearest I did was like, oh, okay, they did the bosun's whistle and all of that stuff.
Yeah, you had to do the at ease and attention.
I assume you weren't allowed anywhere near the quarterdeck.
It was in the church hall, so
with the outline
of with an outline of a ship like taped to the floor,
castle or whatever they call it.
Well, it was it's in fucking South Norwood or something. Like there's not a lot of Royal Navy heritage there. So that was fun.
I've seen the world.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah, I would rather go in the merchant navy. Probably they seem a bit more dodgy, I guess. So that sounds more my pace really than the Royal Navy.
The nearest I came to that was probably the Cubs, but I did do that for a few years. But I think it's just some way the parents get me out of the house. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Did you get any badges?
Not many, because there wasn't that much. We weren't terribly committed. And,
we were committed to the cause.
Yeah. So, no, I think I got about 4 badges or something. It wasn't particularly impressive.
Do you remember what they were for?
I think there was an athletics one. There was probably one about... no, I can't remember now, to be honest with you, mate. I know we did have to do some... We did do sports. Mostly, it was around... I can't remember what you call this game now. It was dodgeball, isn't it? In the States, but I can't remember what we used to call it. But you would just play that over and over again, and then you would occasionally sort of go out and do it was like a camping. I think we did one camping trip in about 4 years, and then you would occasionally go out and do things to earn merit badges. But it was mostly just in some like church hall where you were just playing dodgeball.
You kind of do these things when you're a kid, don't you? So I did that, and I went to, because my mate Paul's went to it. I went to for about a year again, maybe 2, when I was older, and it was down here in Brighton. I went to Boys Brigade, which is I think it's like a Christian version of the Cubs or something.
Okay, yeah.
Or something like that. And you do, I don't really know the ins and outs of it. I went because, you could, buy some sweets and muck about. Do you know? Yeah. And my mate went there. But we went on a camping trip and stuff as well. I didn't really like going on camping trips with, I kind of quite like being at home and I'd get quite homesick. I didn't really like doing stuff like that particularly. I wasn't a very rough, tough boy, and it was all a bit boisterous. Do you know what I
mean?
Yeah. I was very, very sensitive lad. So
not true outdoorsman.
Well, I am. I like it now. That's fine, but I'm an adult now, and I wasn't really used to spending time with lots of males. To be honest, being an only child from a single parent mother, I wasn't used to having lots of men and older boys all throwing the weight around and stuff. It was I don't like this at all. I've got nothing to hang this on. I've got no experience of this at all. It's just horrible. So, I didn't enjoy that. But nowadays, I still don't like men, but I'm quite happy going outside. So anyway, my sailor outfit aside.
The sailor outfit aside, yeah, because you are 4 foot tall, aren't you? So and you've got a pockmarked face, so you are bearing quite a strong resemblance to Robert the Hotel at the moment.
Yeah. How do you know it's not me?
I don't. That was going to be the surprise twist at the end. Split all along.
And then I reach through the screen and get you.
Pretty fucking haunted. But I won't get into where he's from at the moment because there's a couple of alternative theories. So I'm going to skip over that part. But so effectively, this was bought by his grandfather. So there's a chap called Robert Eugene Otto.
Oh,
he was the owner of this doll. So I'm going to come back to it. It's 4 foot high. So it's pretty big. This thing. It's sort of life size for a kid, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Didn't originally come in the sailor's outfit, I don't think. But so his granddad bought it back from him from somewhere. We'll get into where it comes from later on because there's a couple of theories, one true and one shockingly racist. We'll explore that later on. But apparently, he was adored by Otto in his youth, and he treated it as if it was a living companion. Frequently, when he misbehaved or something was to go missing or get broken in the household, he'd attribute it to the doll. Classic deflection tactic from a child there.
Yeah, that's like in the olden times where the prince would have a best friend that would live with him, and because it was the prince, he couldn't be punished. So the best friend would be punished, but because it was his best friend, then he didn't want to see him punished, so that's how they got the prince to behave. Yeah, that used to be something they used to do in the Tudor times.
There you go.
It's good plan.
Path, in which case you just like, fair enough, get another friend for the prince.
To beat him to death, I don't care.
As well. Six of one, half dozen the other. A few Joffreys around in those days. So the recurring theme of Robert Did It is escaping within the doll legend. Now, supposedly the first recorded supernatural incident was in Otto's early childhood, where he awoke to find Robert sitting at the end of his bed, his beady eyes staring back at him.
That's happened to me when we've been travelling.
You're waking me up. You know my eyes are beady.
Beads are actually named after your eyes.
Yeah. So moments later, the rest of the house was woken to the sounds of furniture being thrown around the room. When Otto's mother entered the room, she found everything in chaos, save for the young boy who curled up in fear in his bed. Robert remained sat at the foot. I mean, I think they're making a lot of this up, to be honest with you. Apparently after this...
I like it, though, so far.
It's good, isn't it? His obsession with the doll appeared to escalate. So where he previously...
when he started making love to it.
I think that's where we're ending up. He currently lives with his pillow wife in Florida Keys.
in a community of people who only have pillow wives in Florida. The community currently stands at 450,000 people, and 445,000 pillow women, 5 of which have divorced their husbands and moved.
So yeah, his obsession appeared to escalate. So he'd previously addressed the doll as though it were living. Now his parents reported hearing a response to Otto's questions, all in an unfamiliar voice. It's getting a little bit shy. All right.
I think it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird to have. I think first. Well, I mean, as a child, I had stuffed animals like teddy bears and stuff like that, but I didn't have a life-size boy.
Exactly. Has a creepy. Yeah, I tell you what, Grandad. Putting that straight up in the fucking attic. That is I mean, to be fair, this was. I think this was back in the 30s or something. So.
When it was normal.
Normal. I'm a kid. I'm going to buy you a life-size doll. I suppose you do, because you do see people. You know, you get these like huge teddy bears and things like this, don't you? So it's
but it's still a bear. But then I guess the thing, but you get those terrifying. You get those terrifying dolls like for girls, because, or I mean, it doesn't have to be for girls, but that's what they're marketed at, which are babies or toddlers. Because of gender stereotypes being quite old-fashioned.
These ones where you feed it and stuff, and then
like Jessma, I think, did loads of them. I remember adverts of when I was a kid. But some of them are like walk and are like the size of a child, and I think there's something weird about that, isn't there?
Well, like isn't the theory that they want to play mother, they want to sort of emulate their parents?
Yeah, and well then why? Yeah, I don't know. Why do kids play with guns then? I mean, I think I probably played with guns, so I was emulating the A-team. Who I considered father figures. Isn't it? Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're emulating something, but it's kind of like, as you say, it doesn't have to be damn sort of gender lines or any of the rest of it.
No, but I do think it is.
That's how they market it.
Yeah, I do think it's weird getting a 4-year-old to have to feed a baby doll. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's 4.
Probably enjoy your life a little bit first.
You start taking on.
It's a special song. You've got too much butter. Yeah, you want to internalise these lyrics.
Yeah. No, it seems strange. Don't know what it's about. I liked my cuddly toys. They're cuddly animals. I liked them probably later than most people do. Like I still had my teddy that was my favourite probably until I was about 13, which is quite late. Quite late. Quite an insecure person now.
Like insanely late. I don't know.
It was very comforting for me up until you hit puberty, I think, and then you feel like you should get rid of it. Although I still miss him every day. and now I cuddle a pillow instead, for want of human contact.
So apparently his behaviour would get worse, and as he got older, the doll took up position propped in the upstairs window of the family home. School children now become aware of them.
Viper nest.
I don't know how this has become a legend that he's put a life-size doll in the window. He's got a lot. There you go. Maybe it wasn't in Glasgow; it was in Florida. Maybe it's an equal thing. But the doll would appear and disappear by the window, causing many local youngsters to give the house a wide berth. Wouldn't you just assume it had been moved?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be thinking, well, it's clearly that doll can move.
It's gone for a pint or whatever.
They've jumped straight to mystery here without really sort of I'm not sure this article's got all of the facts.
No.
And when news of the children's fears reached Otto, he went to investigate Robert's attic spot, but actually found the doll on a rocking chair in an upstairs bedroom. Again, I'm not quite sure. Did he put it there? There seems to be some holes in this.
Well, the doll obviously just went for a little go in the rocking chair, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I think we're trying to infer that the doll is moving around the place, but we're not, I might have forgotten where he put it. Well, yeah, he's haunted, isn't he? So
Exactly. He's the most haunted doll in America.
You think he can't move under his own steam with that amount of haunting under his belt? He's got nothing coming out, son. I mean, he went off and got himself an education, and upon his return...
What, the doll?
So this is the child. The doll stayed in the attic at that point. And after he got married, his wife expressed discomfort with the doll's presence. Yeah, I would as well, to be honest with you. It's like...
Considering she had to sleep in the spare room.
Sorry, darling, Robert wouldn't like it. Robert wouldn't like it when we do that thing. His beady eyes staring at us. He's not happy.
Can Robert get involved? Would you mind if I lay Robert across your face?
I'll be honest with you, Eugene. When I reluctantly agreed to do a threesome, I didn't realise a marionette was going to get involved. I'm drawing the fucking line there. You know, I know this hasn't been a happy marriage, but I'll be honest with you. I know
this is a marriage of convenience. Again, it's another one like Lars and the Real Girl, isn't it? Like Pascalita.
Yeah. You've put a psychosexual subtext to this that I don't think is in the article, but I think it probably could be.
I think I'm just saying what everyone's thinking.
Yeah. So he confined it to the attic at this point. Robert apparently was rather unimpressed with his new quarters, and his wife soon had
sent some strong
malicious giggling from the attic space.
Giggling, is that unimpressed, or is he liking it?
It's malicious giggling.
What is a malicious giggle?
I don't know.
Like that, I suppose.
Makes sense to me. Anyway, the kid dies in 1974, and then they sell the place. 20 years later, it gets sold off to someone else, and then during this period, the new owner's daughter supposedly joyfully discovered Robert, only for this to quickly turn to fear. The child reportedly screamed at night, convinced that Robert wanted to hurt her.
So he was just left in the attic. And
yeah, supposedly this house has changed hands twice.
And he's always just been left there.
Yeah.
Because it's actually his name on the lease.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the deeds were in his name. Which just sounds a bit Bartleby the Scrivener. He's just, no, I prefer not to leave. Thank you.
No, I quite like it.
Just going to have to sell it and just keep him up there. You going to leave, Robert? You going to go off and haunt somewhere else? I prefer not to.
All right, well, we might have to go. Yeah,
I'll
whatever.
be a joke for 5 people in the audience. So get that. So it was donated in 1994 to the East Martello Museum in Key West in Florida, which is now his permanent home, and it's a popular and unsettling attraction. Visitors to the museum and staff members alike report seeing Robert move, change expression, and even faintly giggle. I mean, if I was there, I'd be giggling, and it wouldn't be faint. Oh my God, this thing was fucking changing expression to me.
But what if it did, Neil? What if it did change his expression?
What if it did?
Could it be?
Could it be? We'll come on to that. So the museum encourages visitors to ask Robert's permission before taking photographs.
Fuck off.
Supposedly...
I'm not asking a toy.
Supposedly, those unwilling to do so are met with horrible misfortune. He's reported to have caused physical harm, car accidents, divorce, and job loss.
Maybe that's why I got divorced.
Yeah. Because he knew you were going to fucking sass him on this episode, and then, yeah.
Oh, wow.
He made sure your marriage crumbled. And that's why I have erectile dysfunction. That will be going clear. It's nothing to do with my diet. It's because I pissed off a haunted doll. Don't blame your own lifestyle choices. Probably a haunted doll, isn't it? Yeah.
I lost my job the other day.
Tell you what, this vaccine's a myth as well.
Why was that? This haunted doll made me tell my supervisor to get fucked when he asked me to do overtime.
I wouldn't have done that if it would have just clearly this haunted doll.
Yeah, exactly. I was really out of character.
I've done it 15 times before. That's why we went immediately into firing you. Yeah, but I wouldn't have done it a 15th time.
Well, yeah, I know, but maybe the haunted doll worked through you to fire me. Because you haven't fired me the previous 14 times. So what's changed? I saw the doll. That's not coincidence. I don't
The
believe
only thing in
them.
this equation that changes things.
Yeah, is I saw the doll, and this time you fired me. Despite numerous warnings in the past.
So all of these tragedies befalling people is never, how it happens is never fully explained. And those who do take
fully
photographs...
explained. So is it even partially explained? So the fully was a superfluous word there, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's no actual obviously evidence for any of these things. I mean, I'm sure.
No, there's no evidence.
Car accidents and divorces and erectile dysfunction since they went to see the doctor. I think causality, not
yeah.
Oh, what's the phrase?
Correlation is not causation.
Correlation is not causality.
Yeah. However, it hasn't been explained using our current understanding of science. I would like to add there.
Not yet. Well, has anyone bothered to study Robert the Haunted Doll?
I assume someone has.
Anyway,
someone at Key Largo Polytechnic or something.
Some of the finest minds at
Key Largo Online Polytechnic.
The Miami Dolphins Institute for Science. Sponsored by Bud Light Lime. Apparently other people, when they do take the photographs, they find that they get glitches in their camera that go away as soon as they leave the museum.
Bollocks.
How do you explain that, Chris?
I can't explain it. Maybe there's a vortex.
Maybe it's because they don't call it the most haunted doll in America because it's not the most haunted doll, because it is.
Yeah.
Now here's an interesting one then. To substantiate this, so here's some evidence. The museum is filled with letters of apology, of which Robert receives 1 to 3 a day.
Oh, he's like one of those guys on death row who weird women send.
A lot of pure interest. Yeah. We'll get into you again and bragging dolls. Fucking hell. The moment they're just begging the doll for forgiveness for failing to ask permission. They beg for Robert to reverse their luck, but these letters only show the complaint, not the updates as to whether or not the pleas work. Now, I assume from what you're saying as well, presumably people do write kind of like overtures towards the puppet as well. They probably don't put those ones on display in the museum, though.
Now, I saw you on...
That'd be the really disturbing.
I saw you on Ripley's Believe It or Not the other day, and I knew that I'd seen my soulmate.
If people want to marry lampposts and stuff, which I believe is a phenomenon that occurs, then why not?
I don't know that I've heard that. I know that in Japan, some lonely men marry their anime computer girlfriends. So
I saw that in an episode of Archer, I think.
No, I've watched.
Kruger had a.
No.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I think it was referencing a real phenomenon.
Yeah. It does actually happen. Don't know. Weird times, isn't it?
I mean, honestly, I was gonna say how depressing is it in your life when you've got to write to a doll, but actually, you just pointed out there could be far worse. So it's probably fairly reasonable behaviour. But they're not all pleas for forgiveness. The letters that come into Roberts, the fan mail, it's not all about having incurred his wrath and begging for forgiveness. Many ask for advice or request curses to be placed on others. Wow,
real dickheads do that. Yeah. I really dislike this person, and rather than just ignore them or cut them out of my life or whatever, I'm going to write to America's Most Haunted Doll and ask him to put a curse on them. Hopefully, so they have a, deadly accident or something, or a divorce. Maybe it's
the ultimate passive-aggressive manoeuvre.
It's just like, what an arsehole.
Yeah. I mean,
and also, how desperate have you got to be for advice to ask her?
It's shitty and incredibly pathetic at the same time.
Yeah, it really is.
The ultimate combo. But it's not just fan mail and and wishes for hexes and stuff as well. He's also the recipient of a steady flow of gifts.
Oh.
After the museum made it be known that the doll supposedly had a sweet tooth. What?
What that sentence should say is, after the museum let it known that
after the absolute fucking grifters
that the staff there have a sweet tooth.
Exactly. We have to dispose of all of these.
Yeah, exactly. Like, after the staff there had let it be known that the doll really likes single malt scotch. I mean, like, do you know what? Fuck it, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, do you know what? If somebody's got they've got the time and money to send stuff in, well, that's fair enough.
Yeah, after the staff let it be known that Robert only performed hexes for $100 cash.
Robert likes amphetamines. Cheap prostitute. He said cash.
Unmarked cash in small bills.
Wasn't me. Robert did it.
Cocaine. And PlayStation 5s.
So anyway, apparently fans from around the world quickly set to sending in a deluge of sugary treats. He's often left sweets, money, and occasionally joints. I presume the joints are being left by some ironic stoners, college types.
Yeah, but
hey man, it'd be really funny if we paid to go and see that haunted doll.
Stones.
Hey,
Chud, leave him a joint, man.
That is the kind of plan that you come up with and execute whilst under the influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be really funny.
I mean, but the thing is, Neil, I'm thinking this is a good grift.
Yeah, this is a wicked. Well, it's very much like La Pascalita. This is an absolutely great.
But, I mean, we could just, like, I don't know, go to a second-hand shop and buy a teddy bear or something and say it's the UK's most haunted teddy bear, and then just put loads of stuff on the internet about it.
I think what you mean, Chris, is that I should get back in touch with some priests from back in my Catholic days and then find out if there are any haunted artifacts that we can investigate. After rigorously proving that one of these is, then it's a tweet, Griff. They do point out that the joints are completely inappropriate at the museum, by the way.
Completely inappropriate, but on the other hand...
Firstly, he's too young and he could be flammable.
They're very inappropriate, but very much appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking for them, but they will get used.
We're not asking for them, put it that way. Wink, wink.
People, in an outrageous development, people have been leaving 5 grams of cocaine for Robert. We really don't encourage this kind of behaviour.
Although, we're not saying that he loves them.
Robert might like it, but we didn't want to encourage it. Robert might actually aid you and put hexes on your enemies if you do this. Yeah. We don't feel it's the right thing to do. We just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Although that's your right as an American. What you decide to do.
We can't stop you doing that. It's not there's any laws.
Let's just say we can't condone it, but neither can we stop it.
But nor do we know the ineffable will of Robert. So you have to make your own mind up on that one. If you want to put a hex on your ex-wife or whatever the fuck it is. Any visitors to the house speaking poorly of Otto, Robert's expression is said to change to one of anger.
Ooh.
Similarly, many visitors have reported watching Robert put his hand up against his glass case.
That's quite sad.
Okay, you need to go to a hospital. You need to probe around inside your head, clearly. You're seeing a doll moving around. So the museum's curator doubles up as Robert's PA of sorts.
Nice.
She finds herself fielding the thousands of letters and gifts received by Robert each year. And she also controls his social media presence, which is regularly updated in the voice of Robert himself.
Really?
He was seeing the antique doll is quite the fan of memes. Oh, God. This is a social media grift as well. They also give him a yearly checkup to make sure that the humid Florida weather is not adversely affecting his wood wool and stuffing. If he's haunted, then don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It's animated by the forces of evil. Clearly,
the dark spirits inhabit him.
So we get back to the origins. So clearly, there's something funny going on, or a grift.
Yeah,
one or the other. Choose your own adventure. let's assume that there's, this is a haunted thing, and there's unsubstantiated sightings of this thing moving around.
Well, he's putting his hand up against the glass,
making angry expressions,
like a gorilla does. Like a gorilla that's in a zoo, they put their hand up against the glass, don't they? Probably. Don't know. Like in the film Congo or something.
My friend who's been living in a glass case for the last 60 years.
Yeah, no, it's not much fun, is it? Like after you've been like up at the window, off the window, onto the rocking chair, up in the attic, giggle.
He's pretty patient. He's sitting there on this rocking chair in a glass case for the last 30 years. I'd be manifesting a lot more poltergeist activity.
Yeah, I'd have a lot more problems in a sweet tooth, I'll tell you that much.
It'd take a lot more to placate me than a Hershey bar. Anyway, not least because I don't particularly like the taste.
No, they taste like vomit.
Yeah. Apparently all down to the different ways that we manufacture.
It's true.
Yeah, from the milk. You get used to it growing up, apparently.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it does taste bakey, doesn't it? So basically, there's two legends about how he could have come to be. Mm-hmm. So one is that we'll go with the outlandish legend first. Okay. We'll see which one it is. So one legend is that a girl or servant of Bahamian descent gave the young boy $1 a gift as retaliation for wrongdoing.
Right.
The vengeful woman was said to have cursed the doll with voodoo, which filled the vessel of the doll with evil spirits.
Oh. Is there a lot of Bahamian or Bahamian voodoo?
I don't know, because obviously voodoo is a Haitian
and West African.
Yeah. From that area.
Rather than the Bahamas.
I don't know. And I wouldn't, I think that there's quite a lot of weird baggage around this. But they do say in the article here as well, actually, that the whole voodoo thing basically is just kind of racism, effectively. So I believe they did have sort of like some people who were working at the house who West Indian descent, right. But whether or not they were kind of like involved in, because there's a religious context to voodoo, isn't there? Because
it's religious.
Not about pricking dolls.
No, voodoo is a system of religion, and it's from
pre-Christian.
Yeah, it's from West Africa and stuff. So it's a lot about different spirits and gods for different, different things in the human world. So like there's, for emotional stuff like love and peace and stuff, there are different voodoo spirits and verves, which is like the symbols. But also they've got kind of ones for death and birth and that kind of stuff. So it's very much that kind of pagan system of belief.
It's like the Celtic stuff around Halloween or Samhain, as they called it.
But it got mixed in with some sort of Judeo-Christian stuff, and also with some more modern stuff. So in places like West Africa, someone like Baron Samedi doesn't look like he does in New Orleans, but and doesn't have the same name, but they're just kind of updated versions based on experiences of being in the New World and slaves and all that kind of business of the same sort of gods, and with a bit of mixture with Christianity and that kind of stuff as well. So it's kind of a bit of a bastardization of several different things.
So it could have been created by a vengeful person who at the house who's dabbling into voodoo. The reality seems to be a bit more prosaic, which is that his grandfather, actually, I think this chap's parents were German, or his grandparents were German, and it was actually made in 1904 by the Steiff factory.
Which is the famous
one.
So
they make those really, they're famous. I think they made the world's first.
And they're really expensive, and they've got the butt.
Yeah, they still make the
antique ones are worth loads of money.
In Munich, they actually have a museum there. I don't know if it's particularly Steiff or just.
They always have a button. They always have a button on their ear, which lets you know it's a Steiff. So.
Oh yeah.
Just to let you know about Bahamian religion, they don't have voodoo. They have Obia, which has been defined as a mixture of European superstition, African, especially Yoruban religion, and Judeo-Christian beliefs. It retains similarities to the voodoo of Haiti, the Santeria of Cuba, and Brazil, and the Shango of Trinidad. Steeped in the mythic traditions of West Africa, it's an important part of the Bahamian national heritage. So they don't have voodoo, they've got their own thing.
No, so yeah, that's obviously just
Black person voodoo, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's haunted. So well, we can have hauntings without bringing voodoo into it. So no, it was bought from the Stowe factory. They reckon it was actually probably a like something that would have been in the window because it's almost life size. They reckon it would have probably just rather than
display
probably just a part of like an advertising display. Yeah. So they'd make these things, put them in the window, and then he probably paid quite a bit of money to sort of like, my grandkid would love that. He'll dress it up in his little sailor's uniform.
That's weird, isn't it?
The sailor uniform actually belonged to the boy, and he dressed it up in his own clothes. I was going to say, because that's a bit of a weird present to bring back.
Well, it's a weird thing to think that your grandkid would like that and be so convinced by it that you'd go, look, I know it's a display piece, I know that, and I know you don't make them, but whatever the cost.
Yeah. I'm leaving here with that. You figure out how this is going to happen. Either you getting paid a lot of dollars.
I'm leaving here with this life-size, soft-bodied child doll, right? And I don't care what it costs. And why do you want it? Grandkid would love it. Are you sure? I think they might find it quite disturbing. Look, you don't know my grandkid. He's a weird kid. He's going to love it.
Do you reckon the grandfather came up with this grift? It's a family full of grifters.
What of?
Oh, we could make money out of this.
But he didn't make any money out of it, did he?
No, that's true. Actually, the kid and the grandfather never made any money out of it. It seems to be just the current museum owners who will
recognise its true value.
Absolutely. So it's a moderate online sensation apparently, but Robert is quite the modern celebrity.
Like
he's appeared. You've got to actually. Do you want to have a look, see if you can find his social media account? Well, just see if he's done any tweets recently. He's appeared on TV shows and films. He's had his aura photographed, which is nice for him. And as of 2019, there have been several horror films with Robert at their centre. Robert Reborn 2019 being the most recent.
I found his Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
He's only got 1,300 followers, so not quite an internet sensation.
Has he posted anything recently?
Let's have a look. Not that, yeah. It seems to have dropped off quite a lot during COVID, which makes me feel that he's not tweeting most of it. So his most recent tweet was May 17th, 2020, and prior to that, he was tweeting a bit in 2018, quite a lot in 2017. So Robert the Doll, 25th of July 2018. My website and online store had a meltdown this week, so if you purchased a Robert the Doll, please be patient. My museum friends will be taking care of the problem soon.
Do you mean to say, Chris, that the verified Twitter account of Robert the Doll is being used to sell merchandise?
Seems to be. And also he was, it appears he was on Ozzy and Jack Hit the Road. Ozzy Osbourne and Jack Osbourne's, I assume, travel show. Never seen it.
Oh, good Lord. That's something I never
Thanks to Ozzy and Jack, we are completely sold out of Robert the Doll dolls. The museum is redesigning the packaging to include more choices. They expect to go live with the new options at the end of March. I apologise for the delay, but I demand the best be available.
Jack, you trying to tell me that fucking doll's haunted? That was my Ozzy Osbourne.
He sure is, Dad.
Wasn't a particularly good American brony accent.
Right.
So I used to think, he's quite funny, Ozzy Osbourne, but yeah, when they introduced all of his kids and stuff, I was like, no, I don't need this.
No.
He's quite amusing, but
he's amusing for about 10 seconds, as much as any kind of washed out sort of sad case in a pub is. Do you know what I mean? Like occasionally comes up, you're like, oh, he's in, shall we go somewhere else? He'll be there holding court, like talking really slowly and not really making anything funny or interesting points. for some reason they put up with him. I think it's because he spends all of his gyro down here. I reckon if Ozzy Osbourne would be someone who'd frequent the Bat and Ball on the on the level in Brighton.
The Ozzy Osbourne, Robert the Doll. Who'd you rather go out for a pint for, Ozzy Osbourne or Robert the Doll?
I mean, this is one of the reasons why I've said this kind of question is one of the reasons I've stopped drinking.
So, just to summarise, then, we don't know: is it cursed? Isn't it cursed? He's done a bit of TV work. He's been in a few films, but whether he's haunted or not, his legendary status only seems to grow with each passing year. If you find yourself near Kiris in the future, do pop in and say hello. So I'm going to have a look. I'm wondering whether I've been reading out an advertiser. Yeah. Whatever you call them.
An infomercial.
Advertorial, is it? Yeah. Basically a commercial disguise, I think. Because there's a little bit of that in there. And it's... I'm just having a look now. How much does it cost for tickets to go and see Robert the Doll? How much would you pay to go and see Robert the Doll, Chris?
$10. $10.
Really?
Yeah. But that's like...
It's just
but there's more stuff there. It's a museum.
No, I suppose. Yeah.
And $10 is like $6.50. So, it's not a lot of money, is it?
$16.
$16. That seems steep. Depends what else they have there.
I mean, their main attraction is a haunted doll. There aren't too many fucking like dinosaur skeletons or whatever.
Yeah, not out in the Keys. $16.
Yeah, I mean, because literally outside, it's just got a massive picture of.
It seems like a lot of money,
and it looks like a public toilet.
Okay, well, maybe I need the toilet. That couple of.
I don't urinate on the doll. If you micturate on Robin, you'll get angry.
Well, this is the thing, because you'd be tempted to go in just to take pictures of him without asking and stuff, just like play with fire, wouldn't you?
And in no way have they thought that through. Oh, no, it'd be really fun if you left a joint. Oh, that'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? Fort constructed during the Civil War, the site was abandoned in an unfinished state after the war was over. In the 50s, it was refurbished to accommodate a museum showcasing Civil War artefacts, so it's immediately haunted by evil. Highlights include relics of the Civil War, folk art by Mario Sanchez and Robert the Doll. This sounds like the worst fucking museum of all time. So basically, you can see a load of Civil War relics.
On the sound.
Allegedly
Confederate relics.
Yeah. Maybe he's haunted by the spirit of Robert E. Lee.
The South shall rise again.
Not haunting. It's heritage, not hate. Honest. No, you got to blame anyone. That voodoo lady. Voodoo, whatever. Tourists love the wide variety of articles showcased here, covering art, warfare, history, and legendary stories. A must visit when you're in the city. Don't forget to click a picture with Robert the Doll. But they don't say, make sure you ask permission first, or you're up for a thing.
Well, there's plenty of people. I mean, there's plenty of people who like war stuff, isn't there? There's plenty of people.
Close to Christmas, that's a shame.
I
think they're really missing a trick, because I reckon your Christmas dinner with Robert the Doll, I reckon you could say, much us to near us.
Good, I'd do that.
I'd be queuing up for that.
Thanksgiving with Robert the Doll, $2,000.
Oh, this is brilliant. How to reach Fort East Martello Museum. Rent a bike or car to reach the place or hire a taxi. Where? I mean, taxi, fine, fair enough. You're going to take me to that museum. Oh, yeah. See which brother, I know exactly.
Which one? Which one, sir? There's several.
With all this sort of, again. Narrow this down.
It's haunted doll, dressed as a sailor. Again, sir.
You're in Florida, boy.
Everyone's got a haunted doll dressed as a sailor.
But then you don't know where you're going, do you? You think it'd be like, go down the A37 or whatever and take a left.
The I-90.
If you're in Florida, just take a taxi.
Take a taxi? If you're...
no, literally, that's what it says. About how can I get
out in the Keys, isn't it?
Take a bike or taxi. Doesn't tell you
how far down the Keys is it? Because they go out quite far, don't they?
I don't know.
What key is it on?
Key West.
Isn't that the furthest one out?
I think it might be, but I don't really know.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Lord, hotel's pricey.
Does it come with the doll?
I'd expect a complimentary visit. From
Key West has got. It's got an international airport, so that's good. It's got Truman's Little White House. It's got the Hemingway Home and Museum. Southernmost point of continental USA. About it, really. I've got an aquarium, amphitheatre. I mean, it's a tourist place, isn't it, Key West?
Yeah.
Would you like to go down the Florida Keys? Wind in your hair?
I think it might be interesting. I'd like to see some mad people and alligators and stuff. The weather would be nice, I assume. I wouldn't mind going on one of those funny fan boats.
But that's not in the Keys, though. I mean, that's sort.
I'm just lumping all of Florida together. I assume I get to do all of that within a mile radius and meet Dexter, the serial killer.
Is that based in the Florida Keys?
Yeah, it's based in Florida. I don't know if it's in the Keys. No, it's Miami, actually.
I heard about him in a heated bomb. I'd like to go to Miami. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, Miami would be kind of quite interesting.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Everglades, mate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going. My geography's awful. Yeah, Key West is right down
the Keys.
Down the bottom, yeah.
Nice and close to Cuba. So you can go there and sell some secrets and get good healthcare.
Marvellous. I'm just looking on TripAdvisor, and there's a lot of happy punters. Really enjoyed strolling through and exploring the fort in a leisurely manner. Seeing Robert the Dole close up was a treat. Rather cute in his naval outfit. We didn't get any menacing vibes from him.
So he's in the fort, is he?
So I think this museum is like an ex-Civil War fort. It's called the Fort East Martello Museum. So it was originally a Civil War fort, but then was decommissioned, and they turned it into
decommissioned it.
I say decommissioned. I mean just
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Robert, for looking at you without permission online. I didn't mean to. Please forgive me.
Ugh.
Then someone else doing pretty much the same joke.
See, this is the problem, isn't it? That
another one doing.
This is the problem, isn't it? That in general, people aren't funny.
Well, glass houses. You better be careful with rocks.
No, I mean the thing is, comparatively, we are because the standard's so low.
I was just halfway through a tweet, repeating the joke 100 times. Yeah, it's just literally a load of
doing the same joke over.
Sorry for looking at your pictures without asking permission. Please forgive me. I will not look at your pictures.
Find the same thing happens.
Yeah, just a load of 5-star reviews. But again, that is a great grift, because what they've done there is they've gained TripAdvisor by, wouldn't it be really funny if we pretended we saw the doll and he was haunting us and we give it a 5-star review? Yeah, thanks. I'll lap up
it's
the
an
tab.
excellent grift. I think that's what I'd say about it. It's a brilliant grift. I'm sad I didn't think of it.
I think we jumped straight to the conclusion here. Absolutely, in no way, shape, or form do I believe this.
Right. So Neil,
I don't know. They bought me a garage sale, probably.
Cool your jets, because you're flying off. Your anger is palpable, and you're completely flying off the handle. You've gone off like a rocket, and we have.
I've not gone through the objective. This is why you've got to have the process, Chris.
This is why we have to have the process. Because hotheads like you, internet trolls like you, who'll be going on there shouting at people, like getting into big fights with right-wing militant people who believe in Robert the Doll, right?
Chris, Robert did it.
They'll be saying Robert did it.
Despite all the available evidence.
Yeah.
Your instances.
Yeah.
Robert did
We're
it.
saying that, and you'll get banned from Twitter again. So this week, Neil, I am going to be getting my scores by using blindfolded this Etch-a-Sketch and twiddling the knobs around and then seeing what number it most looks like at the end, because I assume that through divination it will come up with the correct results. Divination ley lines.
Yes, your subconscious will supply.
It's best. Do you know what? a lot of the time it's best to get your conscious mind, just get it out, get out of the way of yourself and let the subconscious kick through where the real knowledge is at. So, Neil, I'm going to go with you first on this one because you're chomping at the bit for Robert the Doll's spookiness. Oh, he's dumbstruck.
So, I've never really been terribly... So I suppose there is an element of spookiness here. I mean, he does look a bit like Hannibal Lecter in The Mask. A haunted doll, he's not really doing much. So he's terrorised a couple of children by messing up their room.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's something you do as a kid anyway. So, I'd like to blame it on a life-size doll. Mother wouldn't have bought that. Second. No, style out your fucking room, you little shit. I think for some people, there's the idea that I think there's something uncanny valley about like dolls and mannequins and marionettes and stuff like that. I've never found them. It's like people say clown scare. I've never found them particularly spooky. But I know a lot of people do find this kind of, like the idea of like an animated doll. Yeah. Something having life that shouldn't. So I'm going to split the diff here and go for a 5. I've talked myself up. I was going to be quite low there, but I'm going to, the idea, a bit like with Pascalita, the idea that it can manifest. And the one thing it's missing is a bit of sort of some tragedy or something like if the kid had died in childbirth, something like that, and then it'd been haunting the doll, then that would have been much more spooky. So I'll round it out for a 5.
So I think there is something inherently. I mean, I wouldn't like to have a life-size stuffed child hanging around my flat. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't really like that. I don't know. I think I probably do find them a bit spooky and probably quite unnecessary.
Unnecessary, absolutely.
I think it's one of those things that, if you get up in the night to like go and get a glass of water or whatever, you can just see the outline of it and you're kind of half asleep. You'd be like, ugh, why did I buy that?
Actually, I will admit, and this is probably a bit more on the Pascalita side of things, but my grandmother, when I was like I don't know, about 3, 4, 5 years old, did you remember there was an era when you couldn't show spare toilet roll? It was considered terribly unfair.
It wasn't the case in my household, but I'm aware of it being the case in other people's.
Neither mine, but there was a
You used to have like a ballerina over it or something.
Yes, there was basically a Spanish dancing lady, but that used to freak me out. Because you're just trying to do a pair, so there's this thing staring at you. It's terrifying me when I was like 5. I had to turn it around so I couldn't see what I was doing.
Do you want to revise your score then?
Well, no, apparently. So when I was a kid, I'm just remembering this now. So when I was a kid, I found that really, really kind of like
off-putting.
Off-putting.
Having a Spanish woman staring.
But that's a childhood fear, isn't it? Yeah. I think I'd stare it in the eyes, jaded as hell. Oh.
Yeah. No matter how unimpressed you look, you're never going to be as unimpressed as I am. So I think that's I think it is a bit spooky. I think that because on top of that you have stuff like child's play films and that kind of stuff. Not that I've seen any of them because I've got no interest, but I think Chucky's quite spooky to people. But also, I find his grandfather quite spooky because I want to know more about him. What's he all about? Why is he buying life-size stuffed children and transporting them by steamboat across the Atlantic, presumably sharing a cabin with it? I think, and his second name's Otto, which spooks me out a bit because that kind of very Central European name's quite spooky for many reasons, a multitude of reasons. So the fact that people say they've seen him change his expression whilst incredibly stoned, that's quite spooky. Do you know what? I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a proud 7 because that's what my Etch-a-Sketch looks like. Just going to shake it now for the next one, which is believability. Obviously a 10.
Yeah.
No, believability. So, I mean, the history of the doll is pretty well, the timeline from its...
the real history rather than the fake racist one.
Yeah, I'm discounting that out of hand. The history's there. I can imagine that the kids would have found it weird because sometimes it's sitting in the window, sometimes it wasn't. I mean, I was the kind of kid that probably would have, if I thought...
Did you pay that much attention to your neighbour's doll habits?
I mean, it would be...
Sitting out looking out the window is spooky. The spooky part. When it's moved, that's fine. It's what kind of psychopath sets up a life-size doll to look out the window?
But I think when you're walking home from school, then you do notice stuff, don't you? Looking around, chatting, and something like that would, I assume, stand out like a sore thumb because you'd be like, "The fuck is that?" And then the next day it's there, and then the next day it's gone, then the next day it's there, and you kind of build up a little mythos about it, and you probably make each other like scared of it if you're a little kid, and then you'd probably start avoiding the place. Do you know what I mean? So I think...
Why is it holding a little Confederate flag?
What's it dressed as John Wayne? So I think that's believable. I think it's believable that the kid smashed up his room having a tantrum and then blamed it on the doll because kids love lying. Let's be honest. Kids will lie about anything. I can imagine that his long-suffering wife found his relationship with the doll to be disturbing. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. Let's see what the Etch-a-Sketch says. I'm going to give it a 5 because you don't get the title of most haunted doll in America without people believing it. So, that people believe it. So that's believability.
I mean, I'm going to say, the article says the most haunted doll in America. I don't know who's verified that or on what basis they're able to ascertain it's the most haunted doll.
What was his name? The guy, the Scouts guy who I think died, who was like paranormal stuff. It's Fred. He wants to speak to you. He says, "Don't worry, love, I'm doing fine." What was his name?
I vaguely recall who you mean, but I can't remember his bloody name. I'm not into these people. Derek Akora, was it?
Yeah, Derek Akora. So maybe he did. Maybe he did it for presumably something on History Channel.
I would have thought they'd get like an American version.
But I don't know any of them, so I had to go with what I knew.
Like a '90s extreme version of Derek Akora. He wears sunglasses and he's got like frosted tips.
I've got a dragon tattoo. So I'm going with 5. 5 for me, Neil. What about you? Believability.
So I don't believe any of the haunted doll nonsense, really. It's all a big grift. I mean, I kind of like, as you say, there's a bunch of this stuff that, yeah, fair enough. I can, I don't have a problem with the roots of the story that this, but it's just that a kid had a creepy looking doll, and then one day a museum bought it at a garage sale or something, or inherited it or whatever happened, and then decided to market this as being. Because what I'm not seeing here and why I'm going to give a lower score is there's no verification on any of these sources. Mm. So yes, after conveniently all of the family have died in like the 70s and stuff. Now we're hearing that apparently it was all it was already freaky. And so where did they find out about all of this? What his parents thought and what he thought about the doll and all this kind of thing.
That's true.
I'm not sure. I'm not seeing too much of a verification. Maybe there is something out there. I don't know. I think it's. I'm gonna give it a 2.
You think they just got a doll and gave it a backstory?
That's exactly what I think. I really admire the person who's making money out of this, but I don't really admire them. Probably a horrendous human being, but
why?
Yeah,
it's just a bit of fun,
in Florida, and they're a grifter. We probably wouldn't have particularly aligned political views, but that's not necessarily a problem. But yeah,
you're making it
well being what it is.
Okay, 2. So next, Reach. So, yeah, I mean, been on TV, got a Twitter account. There's lots about Robert the Doll on the internet. There is, I believe, a series of horror films loosely based on him. So that's good, isn't it? But I wouldn't say it's internationally known. So it's about 90 years old. So it's got a bit of longevity, but then it's still there and being looked at. I would say it's.
How long has the urban myth been around? Oh, sorry, how long has the urban legend been around?
Well, since the 30s or 40s, apparently, but.
But it's apparently. I question how long it's been around as a legend.
But then what I
think it's a more recent phenomenon. I think it's coming from the 90s.
Okay, but then what
I think it started as a post-ironic Tarantino-esque, thing to have in your. They got in some intern and he's just like, I've got to try and publicise this awful Confederate museum. What I'll do is I'll buy up this haunted doll.
Yeah.
I'll just, I'll introduce a bit of irony so all my Gen X friends come down and see the museum, and it all went uphill from there.
Yeah, but then what I would say is
pretend it was real because it was making so much money.
Yeah, but I would then say that it's still got a big reach. It's got a big reach on social media, internet. There's been some films. It's not internationally known. It's been on TV. So I'm going to give it let's have a look what I've scribbled here. Difficult to tell. It looks like a 6 to me, so I'm giving it a 6 for Reach. Neil, why don't you tell me what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so I kind of was saying a bit there. I'm not convinced it's, the legend itself has been around since the 30s, and I'm not quite sure where the legend itself is coming from. I'm quite sceptical that it's not just been kind of made up by the museums as a sort of backstory. But having said that, it's been successful. It's been a successful grift. So that, and it plays, definitely there is a thing in folklore where people, for some reason, like the idea of haunted dolls. As you say, there's been a series of movies made about him. You may remember, Chris, the legendary 90s Puppet Master movies. I think they made around 4 sequels of those. Which proved to me that haunted puppets are particularly scary.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you. So they made these things, and they're basically like animatronic. Imagine like a Ray Harryhausen stop motion animatronic kind of puppet thing where they're knifing up people, and you can imagine it's as ludicrous as it sounds.
Well, there's something I think kind of one of the things which is potentially kind of subconsciously what that people have fear for sort of puppets and stuff, and people don't like ventriloquist dummies and that kind of stuff because they, ventriloquist dummy having its own personality and that kind of thing. And I think it's almost something built in that it's kind of, we have a fear of our own madness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's a fear of our own madness. And if like you think a doll's alive and it's talking to you, then essentially you're kind of schizophrenic or whatever. So it's almost like a fear of your own madness that if this thing starts talking to me, then your mind, you're kind of thinking, oh, it means, it's haunted, but probably deep somewhere in the back of your mind, it's like, I've cracked here. So I think maybe that's something kind of deep seated with our fear of inanimate objects talking to us. That it's maybe not, maybe the hauntings how people kind of explain it to themselves, but probably deep down you're thinking I've probably lost it a bit here, which is probably more scary than having a haunted thing. So that could be something to do with it.
So I think reach wise, it's I think they're I don't know. It's a tricky one here because I don't know how much of it is actually just sort of like being pumped out through the likes of, for example, they've set up a social media account for the haunted doll, but so they're pushing it. But do you know what? It still reaches reach. It's gotten a load of people to repeat the same joke on TripAdvisor, assuming it's not just all sock puppet accounts by the museum's owner. So, assuming that that's all true, it's doing pretty good for what should just be a kind of third-rate kind of haunted doll story. So I'll give it a 6.
been well marketed, hasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know how much of it is actually coming from the legend itself. Do you know what I mean? Like a folklore.
It sort of doesn't matter. It sort of doesn't matter. It's it's good marketing, isn't it? And also, people are kind of jumping on the bandwagon and having a bit of a laugh with it, and so that's all right, isn't it? I mean, and it's not harming anyone. So,
well, you tell that to all of the people.
Divorcees, the divorcees in Key West. So, narrative premise. So, it does have a narrative, the whole life sort of cycle of the dolls there. I can't remember why he became animate in the first place. I know
they never really explain it. I think it's just he gets supposedly the kid just got over attached to this.
How it works, and then so it comes to life.
Again, it's missing like the tragic backstory or something like that. It
doesn't necessarily even need to be tragic, but there needs to be some reason that rather than I just really like my teddy bear, that it comes to life. Do you know what I mean? But there is a whole story there, possibly written after the fact. And when I say fact, I mean just after it was bought to boost numbers to a museum. A premise, yep. So haunted doll. That's a good premise. Central European stuff's, that's a spooky part of the world. So yeah, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? It's been a bit quiet since he got to the museum, apart from a bit of being angry if you slate the granddad who was his first true love. So I'm going to give it a 5 for that. And that's just because that's what came up. I probably should have gone lower. Neil?
I might go a little bit higher here because, the basic narrative is just... I think it's a good example of how you can sort of like work with the bones of a basic story. So with urban myths, I think quite often what happens is there'll be some boring facts, and then we'll just have to kind of paint some stuff on top to make it more interesting. And notwithstanding my theory that this is all just a grift for the museum, but people buy into it, then that's what makes it what it is, as we were saying. So or even if they're doing it ironically. So yeah, I think they've set up quite a half decent little backstory for it, and they're sort of pushing it. It's not like the world's most amazing narrative, but yeah, Haunted Doll is kind of like something that sort of sparks people's imaginations. They've not really gotten to a compelling reason as to how it sort of became haunted or what
just with the wishes of a little boy.
Yeah, exactly.
With the over-enthusiastic love of a little boy.
So yeah, it's not. It wouldn't make it. I have to see some of these movies, but no, I'll come down on I think I'll go for a 6 because I quite admire the kind of like story that they've made up for this, and I think a lot of this has come. As I say, I don't think it goes back to the 30s. I think the museum's made up a lot of this stuff.
They've done a bloody good job at
and fair
advertising
play.
it.
People enjoy these kind of things. It's,
and because of the good job that they're advertising and social media presence, it has got a 42 out of 80 urban legend points, which is
it's our first urban legend that's tweeting itself as well. So that's got to be worth something.
It is worth something. So that's not a bad score. So Neil, I forgot to give you any etiquette tips earlier.
I just assume that I've been impeccably polite all day.
Well, have you on the golf course, Neil? That's the question. Because I've got a couple of.
I'm often to be found on the greens, as you know.
Yep, on the dog legs.
Not actually playing golf.
No, just having a kip.
What I am doing. It's haunting of my own.
So I'm going to give you a couple of golf etiquette tips here, so you don't get banned from yet another golf.
Wear ridiculous clothes. Is that one?
No, it's not actually.
It should be.
So here we go. Maintain your temper and never engage in acts of poor sportsmanship. So, I mean, that's going to be tricky for you, isn't it? you're famous, if you're famously hot-tempered, and that Irish temper that you've got on the golf course.
Oh, I can't stand it if I'm about to go over par.
No, it's like smashing the place up like the Hulk. And I'll just give you one. I'll just give you one more here. At the end of the game, congratulate the winner, shake hands with all the players, and thank them, Neil, rather than what you do, which is just throw your clubs at them.
Well, if I'm the winner, I think people should congratulate me, but not if I've not won. Well, what's the point in that?
Well, that's the competitive edge, which is moving you up the local rankings, isn't it? You're like Adam Sandler in that film where he's the golf person.
Is this the one where he's able to hit it really hard and say,
yeah, because he played hockey.
Because that's what golf is.
Yep, that's exactly it.
I think about accuracy or
no, what's it called? It's his name, isn't it?
Madison or something?
No.
Happy Gilmore, that was it.
Happy Gilmore.
I've not seen it. I'm not.
You were thinking of Ashley Madison, which you were outed as a cheater on.
His first one. I think I got halfway through that, and I just couldn't be bothered anymore.
Can't watch his
films. He goes back to school. No. I'm not a huge Adam Sandler fan.
I'm not.
It can be funny, but
not really.
That bro sense of humour isn't my cup of tea.
No, The Waterboy is the only thing which he's done which I quite enjoyed.
I've seen that. It was all right. It's fine.
Yeah. So, what I would like to sum up this episode by saying is, if you're in Key West and you've taken a photo with a haunted doll without asking permission and your wife leaves you, don't have nightmares.
But do write an embarrassing letter to the doll, or possibly just tweet him now.
Apology
He's on
letter.
Social media. Or an ironic review on TripAdvisor. It's fine.
If after your divorce, your sense of personal, your sense of self is so low that you write a contritious letter to a doll and send him gifts, then please speak to someone about it, I would say. And on that cheerful note, that has been today's episode of Brain Legends. Goodbye.